The Dr. Ray Podcast is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio. Here's today's monologue with Dr. Ray Guarendi.
Got kind of a controversial monologue today. I was pondering it as my wife and I were talking. We usually talk about the stuff of life ourselves. Anybody who's either listened to this program regularly, and I count regularly as once a year. That's what I say. That I got a lot of regular listeners, and if you listen once a year, I count it. Rather flexible definition of regular. Knows that a paramount problem among religious parents is their young adult children turning on them. Not because they were bad parents, but because the kids thought they weren't sufficiently judged appropriate from the kids' perspective. Or the kids have left the faith, and because of that, they decide they don't want to relate to their mom and or their dad. Much of the time, the parents didn't really do anything wrong, but they have been cut off. This is a phenomenon that is so prominent. It's a pandemic among people who try to raise their children in a religious home. Some of you who call in, you will say you haven't heard from your kids in 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 years. They've just decided to shun you. So here is a suggestion, an option, a question, something that you might ponder. I'm not recommending it, but I'm saying, what about? If your child has resisted and rejected your outreach, you've tried it, and they have decided you are not worthy of their attention or their contacts, you are not worthy of seeing your grandchildren. If this is your state, here's the question. Are those young adults, or maybe even middle-aged adults by now, still in your will? But Dr. Ray, I think it's something that you could legitimately consider. If you have written me off, and maybe there's 4 children in the family, and one has decided you are not worth having any relationship with. Are you, in your will, equally dividing up what you leave as an inheritance? Now, the question becomes, they've said they don't want to have anything to do with you. And you have tried. You've reached out. You've apologized. You've done what you could. And they resist. They're stubborn. And it's been years now. But Dr. Ray, there's always a chance for reconciliation. I understand that. And hopefully that will happen in some percentage of the cases. However, if you changed your will and they're no longer in it, would you be wrong? Is that somehow unfair? Unchristian? Now, I can hear some of you thinking, if I were to do something like that, and then I left this world, they would hate me even more than they seem to hate me now. Well, you just said something. You said even more than they dislike me now or want nothing to do with me now. But Dr. Ray, do you realize the conflict that could set up between the siblings? If 3 of the siblings are given something as an inheritance and the fourth is not? Do you realize what that would do to family cohesiveness? As I said, this is just something for your consideration. I know personally, I might think long and hard about that. If I had a child write me off, and in fact resisted, rejected, batted away all of my reaching out, I'm going to give you money? First of all, one could even make the case that there's no moral obligation to leave any money to any of our children. You've raised them. You've given them much of your attention and your material well-being. If you decide to give it all to charity, are they going to be upset with you? Here's one thing you could do. You could take that percentage that would go to that particular child who has rejected you and simply give that percentage to charity. Is this controversial? Is this something you haven't thought of? Is this terrible? Is this unloving? I don't think so. Yeah, obviously, most people are not going to do it. But if you decided to do it, I think you would be well within your rights. You're well within your rights to leave your inheritance anywhere, anyhow you want. It's yours. There's nothing written that says, I have to give this to all of my children. You may decide I'm going to give half of what I got to charity, and the other half will be divided up. That's up to you.
More of Dr. Ray's monologues can be found on his website, drray.com. Monologues as well as full-length programs of The Doctor Is In can be heard at AveMariaRadio.net and EWTN.com/radio.